निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, Chapter 4. The confidential reasons for the Lord's appearance, texts 61 and 62. 61. Satchidananda Purna Krishna Raswarupa एकैचित शक्ति तारा धरे तीन रूप। Translation: Lord Krishna's body is eternal, Sat, full of knowledge, Chit, and full of bliss, Ananda. His one spiritual energy manifests three forms. Texts 62. Ananda Amshe Hladini Sat Amshe Sandhini Chit Amshe Samvet Jare Jnana Kori Mani Anandanshe Hladini Sadanshe Sandhini Chidamshe Samvid Jare Jnana Kori Mani Anandanshe Hladini Sadamshe Sandhini Chidamshe Samvid Jare Jnana Kori Mani Anandanshe Hladini Sadanshe Sandhini Chidamshe Samvid Jare Jnana Kori Mani Sadanshe Sandhini Chidamshe Samvid Jare Jnana Kori Mani Danshe Hladini Sadanshe Sandhini Chidamshe Samvid Jare Jnana Kori Mani. Matajis, anyone? Hladini Sadanshe Sandhini Chidamshe Samvid Jare Jnana Kori Mani. Ananda Amshe, in the bliss portion. Hladini, the pleasure energy. Sat Amshe, in the eternal portion. Sandhini, the existence expanding energy. Chit anshe, in the cognizant portion. Samvit, the full energy of knowledge. Yare, which jnana kari, as knowledge. Mani, I accept. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: Hladini is his aspect of bliss, Sandhini of eternal existence, and Samvit of cognizance, which is also accepted as knowledge. Purport. In his thesis, Bhagavad Sandarbha 103, Srila Jiva Goswami explains the potencies of the Lord as follows. The transcendental potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by which He maintains His existence, is called Sandhini. The transcendental potency by which He knows Himself and causes others to know Him is called Samvit. The transcendental potency by which He possesses transcendental bliss and causes His devotees to have bliss is called Hladini. The total exhibition of these potencies is called Vishuddha-sattva. And this platform of spiritual variegatedness is displayed even in the material world when the Lord appears here. The pastimes and manifestations of the Lord in the material world are therefore not at all material. They belong to the pure transcendental state. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that anyone who understands the transcendental nature of the Lord's appearance, activities, and disappearance becomes eligible for freedom from material bondage upon quitting the present material tabernacle. He can enter the spiritual kingdom to associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and reciprocate the Hladini potency in transactions between him and the Lord. In the mundane mode of goodness, there are tinges of passion and ignorance. Therefore, mundane goodness, being mixed, is called Vishuddha-sattva. But the transcendental variegatedness of Vishuddha-sattva is completely free from all mundane qualities. Vishuddha-sattva is therefore the proper atmosphere in which to experience the personality of Godhead and His transcendental pastimes. Spiritual variegatedness is eternally independent of all material conditions and is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, both being absolute. The Lord and His devotees simultaneously perceive the Hladini potency directly by the power of the Samvit potency. The material modes of nature control the conditioned souls, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead is never influenced by these modes, as all Vedic literatures directly and indirectly corroborate. Lord Krishna Himself says in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Text 25, Chapter 25, Text 12, Sattvam Rajas Tama iti Guna Jivasya Naiva Me. The material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance are connected with the conditioned souls, but never with me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Vishnu Puran confirms this as follows. Sattva dayona santi she Yatra na prakrita gunaha sa shuddha sarvashuddhebhyah puman adyah prasidatu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is beyond the three qualities goodness, passion and ignorance. No material qualities exist in him. May that original person, Narayan, who is situated in a completely transcendental position, be pleased with us. In the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 27, text 4, Indra praises Krishna as follows. Vishuddha-sattvam tava dhama shantam tapo mayam dhvasta rajastamaskam maya mayoyam guna sampravaho na vidyate te gharananubandhaha. My dear Lord, your abode is Vishuddha-sattva, always undisturbed by the material qualities, and the activities there are in transcendental loving service unto your lotus feet. The goodness, austerity and penance of the devotees enhance such activities, which are always free from the contamination of passion and ignorance. Material qualities cannot touch you under any circumstances. When not manifested, the modes of material nature are said to be in goodness. When they are externally manifested and active in producing the varieties of material existence, they are said to be in passion. And when there is a lack of activity and variegatedness, they are said to be in ignorance. In other words, the pensive mood is goodness, activity is passion, and inactivity is ignorance. Above all these mundane qualitative manifestations is Vishuddha-sattva. When it is predominated by the Sandhini potency, it is perceivable as the existence of all that be. When predominated by the Samvit potency, it is perceived as knowledge in transcendence. And when predominated by the Hladini potency, it is perceived as the most confidential love of Godhead. Vishuddha-sattva, the simultaneous manifestation of these three in one, is the main feature of the kingdom of God. The absolute truth is therefore the substance of reality, eternally manifest in three energies. The manifestation of the internal energy of the Lord is the inconceivably variegated spiritual world. The manifestation of the material energy comprises the living entities, and the manifestation of the external energy is the material cosmos. Therefore, the absolute truth includes these four principles: the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, His internal energy, His marginal potency, and His external energy. The form of the Lord and the expansions of His form as Swayam Roop and Vaibhav Prakash are directly the enjoyers of the internal energy, which is the eternal exhibitor of the spiritual world, the most confidential of the manifestations of energy. The external manifestation, the material energy, provides the covering bodies of the conditioned living entities from Brahma down to the insignificant ant. This covering energy is manifested under the three modes of material nature and appreciated in various ways by living entities in both the higher and lower forms of life. Each of these three divisions of the internal potency, the Sandhini, Samvit and Hladini energies, influences one of the external potencies by which the conditioned souls are conducted. Such influence manifests the three qualitative modes of material nature, proving definitely that the living entities, the marginal potency, are eternally servitors of the Lord and therefore controlled by either the internal or the external potency. Kindly repeat the translation of the two verses. Lord Krishna's body is eternal, Sat, full of knowledge, Chit, and full of bliss, Ananda. His one spiritual energy manifests three forms. Hladini is his aspect of bliss. Sandhini of eternal existence. And Samvid of cognizance, which is also accepted as knowledge. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhobhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo mahavadanyaya Krishna prema pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya namne Gauratvishe namaha. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajeshatanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam. Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadho Varkenaya Kalpita. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matamidam Tatradhara Na Paraha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. We are reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 4, titled The Confidential Reasons for the Lord's Appearance. Before this, in the earlier chapter, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has discussed the external reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this chapter, he is going to discuss the internal reasons or the confidential reasons. But before he does that, and in order to do that, he is building the foundation. Before one can understand the confidential reasons for the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one also has to clearly understand the identity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually? And therefore, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami takes one of the verses from his original Mangalacharan at the beginning of the text to explain the identity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in the later verses he will cite another verse from the Mangalacharan that explains the internal or confidential reason or reasons for the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now, as far as the identity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is concerned, Kaviraj Goswami says, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Ladini Shakti Rasmad, that the loving affairs between Radha and Krishna are not ordinary mundane affairs, but they are the manifestations of the bliss potency, Ladini Shakti of Krishna, the spiritual potency. So this is a very important point, that Radha Krishna and their relationships exist completely on the spiritual platform. Ekatmana api bhuvi pura deha bhedam gatautau. Ek atmano. So Radha and Krishna are ek atma. They are one in identity actually. However, although they are one in identity, bhuvi pura deha bhedam gatautau. Since time immemorial, they have appeared in two forms. Deha bhedam, that one form, those two forms, one form Radha and Krishna, they have become two. That is Radha and Krishna. Chaitanyakhyam prakata madhuna tatvayam chaikyamaptam. But those two forms, Radha and Krishna, have become one again in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanyakhyam. So, and recently he has Adhuna Prakatam, so he has recently just manifested Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam. So that Aikyam, that unity of those two forms has been attained recently as he manifested as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's existence is eternal, but as far as manifesting here in this material world, we are seeing him only recently. Radha Bhava Dyuti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, who is Krishna Swarupam, who has come with the Radha Bhava and the Radha Kanti, the mood of Srimati Radharani and the complexion of Srimati Radharani. So in the previous verses, he has explained these things, Srila Kaviraj Goswami. And he says, Radha Krishna Ek Atma Duhi Dehadhari. So Ek Atma, but they have taken two forms. And now they have once again appeared in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, in order to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I must first explain who is Radharani and who is Krishna. And then he explains that actually Srimati Radharani is the transformation of Krishna's love. Radhika hoyen Krishna pranaya vikar. So Srimati Radharani is the manifestation of the love potency or the bliss potency of Krishna. Swarupa Shakti Ladini Naam Jahan. So the internal potency of Krishna is called Swarupa Shakti. And that Swarup Shakti manifests in its bliss form as Ladini Shakti. And Srimati Radharani is the manifestation of that Ladini Shakti. So having briefly talked about who Srimati Radharani is, now Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is speaking about Krishna. And he speaks specifically about Krishna's body. So in the first verse that we read today, Srila Kaviraj Goswami says that Krishna's body is full eternity, knowledge and bliss, Satchidananda. We all know from the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Paramaha Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha. Vigraha means the form. So the form of Krishna is Satchidananda. Eternity, knowledge and bliss. Now it is a little difficult to understand. Actually it is inconceivable. What do we mean when we say that Krishna's form is Satchidananda? His form is eternity, his form is eternal, we can understand. But what is the substance? What is the meaning of this statement that Krishna's form or Krishna's body is full Satchit Ananda? It is easy to understand that our bodies are made of certain elements. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, but even in gross terms, flesh, muscle, bone. So what does it mean when we say Krishna's body is full Satchidananda? Ekai Chit Shakti Tara Dhare Teen Rupa. Now Kaviraj Goswami says that one Chit Shakti now manifests in three aspects. So Krishna's internal energy is known by different names. Sometimes it is called Swarup Shakti, sometimes it is called Chit Shakti, it's the same thing. But this Swarup or Chit Shakti has three aspects, as we read here, and we saw a very long and very illuminating purport by Srila Prabhupada. So, Srila Kaviraj Goswami says that Ladini is his aspect of bliss, Sandhini of eternal existence, and Samvit of cognizance or knowledge. So now, in other words, this Chit Shakti or Swarup Shakti has three parts, three aspects: Sandhini, Samvit, and Ladini. One may give an example that just as the external energy of Krishna has three aspects, three qualities: Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Similarly, the internal potency of Krishna, Swarup Shakti or Chit Shakti, also has three aspects: Sandhini, Samvit, Hladini. There is no direct one-to-one correlation between the three aspects of internal energy and the three aspects of the external energy. However, we can understand that the three modes of material nature, as are manifested in this material world, are nothing but the perverted reflections or the distortions of the original three aspects of the internal energy. So now the question comes, why is this internal energy divided into three aspects? So there are two reasons for this. One is that these three, Sandhini, Samvit, Hladini, correspond to the three aspects of Krishna's existence, Sat, Chit, Ananda. So Sandhini is connected to the Sat aspect of the Lord. Samvit Shakti is connected to the Chit aspect of the Lord. And Hladini Shakti is connected to the Ananda aspect of the Lord. So because the Lord has these three aspects, Sat, Chit and Ananda, so the corresponding internal Shaktis are Sandhini, Samvit and Hladini. And the second reason is, why is there a distinction between these three, even though they are the one internal energy? The distinction is because of function. When the internal Chit Shakti acts in a certain way, it is called Sandhini Shakti. When it acts in another way, it is called the Samvit Shakti. When it acts in yet another way, it is called Hladini Shakti. So that same one energy is called by different names according to the function it performs. In this way, the classification is very easy to understand. One may give a very simple example. When Lord Kapila is teaching his mother Devahuti in the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, he is talking about the fundamental principles of material nature. And in the course of that discussion, he mentions the subtle body. He has described the gross elements and now he is describing the subtle elements. And he says that the subtle body is one. Yet, according to function, it is called differently as mind, intelligence, false ego, and contaminated consciousness. So it is all one subtle body. But when that subtle body acts in a certain way, it is called mind. It acts in another way, it is called intelligence, and so on. So then what are the functions of this Sandhini, the Samvit and the Hladini Shaktis? They are all Shaktis. So as Srila Prabhupada says here in the purport, he explains the functions of each, quoting from the Bhagavad Sandarbha. Actually, this purport of Srila Prabhupada closely follows Srila Jiva Goswami's essay in the Bhagavad Sandarbha. So sometimes devotees say that why to read only Srila Prabhupada's books? We should read the books of the six Goswamis also. Certainly, because that also has been instructed by Srila Prabhupada. He asks us to read. However, before we go to the books of the six Goswamis, it is important to understand Srila Prabhupada's books properly. Then we will be in a position to understand the books of the Acharyas. At the same time, we also see that Srila Prabhupada's purports, they contain the teachings of the six Goswamis also. When Srila Prabhupada would write his purports on the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he would sit with the Acharyas' commentaries and then he would dictate into his dictaphone. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada's purports actually give us the distilled essence of the commentaries of the previous acharyas. And in this particular purport, he very closely follows what Srila Jiva Goswami has said in the Bhagavad Sandarbha, which essentially deals with all aspects of the form of the Lord. So, he is giving here the information which I will summarize again, that the Sandhini potency of the Lord is that Shakti which is responsible for the existence of the Lord. It is the Shakti by which the Lord exists and by which he bestows existence upon others. I'll repeat. Sandhini Shakti is that Shakti by which the Lord himself exists and also by which he bestows existence on others. So therefore it is called the existence potency. It is connected to the Sat feature of the Lord, because Sat means existence and eternity. Similarly, the Samvit potency is that Shakti by which the Lord knows himself and by which he causes the others to know him. Others meaning the devotees, because only the devotees can know Krishna. Nobody else can know Krishna. So this is the Samvit Shakti. Similarly, the Hladini Shakti of the Lord is that aspect of the Chit Shakti or the Swarup Shakti which awards or which gives or enables the Lord to taste transcendental bliss. And also it enables the devotees of the Lord to taste that. As we have seen here in one of the previous shlokas, he says, Hladini korai Krishne ananda aswadana. So the Hladini Shakti enables the Lord to have the aswadana or the taste of Divya Ananda. Hladini re dwara kore bhaktera poshana. So that Hladini Shakti also nourishes poshana, the bhaktas, with that same transcendental bliss. So in this way, these three Shaktis are all actually that same Chit Shakti, but they are called differently according to the functions that they perform. So the totality of this, Srila Prabhupada explains here, is called Vishuddha-sattva. Yes, I'll just read that part. The total exhibition of these potencies is called Vishuddha-sattva. And this platform of spiritual variegatedness is displayed even in the material world when the Lord appears here. So this Vishuddha-sattva word is very important. So Prabhupada is saying a total exhibition of the Sandhini, Samvit, Hladini Shaktis is called Vishuddha-sattva. Now the word Vishuddha-sattva sometimes may cause confusion. Sattva we understand, and Prabhupada explains here. The mode of goodness does not exist in the material world in complete purity. It is always contaminated by traces of passion and ignorance. So therefore it is called Mishra Sattva. But on the spiritual platform, there is pure spiritual goodness. So that Sattva is called Vishuddha-sattva, not Mishra Sattva. Now let's consider this word Vishuddha for a minute or two. The word Shuddha we are all familiar with. That means pure. But what is the meaning of Vishuddha? There is a prefix. Vishuddha. In Sanskrit, those of you who are familiar with Sanskrit know that these prefixes, there are about 22 of them, and when they are attached to a verb, then they modify the meaning of the word in a certain way. So the V is also an upasarga. And generally we speak of V in words like, for example, Videsh. Desh means within the Desh, within the country. Vi means outside, without. Or the word vi can sometimes be used to indicate negation or without. Mala means contamination. Vimala means without contamination. Or for example, Raja means dust. Raja means without dust, clean. We know about the Viraja river or the causal ocean, where there is no mode of passion, no rajas. So we are accustomed to hearing vi in this context. Similarly, the upasarga vi sometimes gives the opposite effect to a word. For example, kri means to buy, but you add vi to it, vikri, it becomes to sell. Or let's say smriti. Smriti means to remember, but you add vi before that, it becomes vismriti, which means to forget. So by adding vi, you give the opposite meaning to that word, to the verb that it modifies. So we may think now in Vishuddha. Vishuddha means that where there is no Shuddhata. Right? You may think of it like that. If everywhere else vi means the negation or absence of, without, so why is it called Vishuddha-sattva? That sattva which is without purity? No. This upasarga vi also has another meaning which is opposite to its earlier meaning. Another sense in which the upasarga or the prefix vi can be understood is that it intensifies the meaning of the verb which it modifies. So therefore, for example, Jaya. Jaya means victory. And Vijaya means comprehensive, thorough victory. So when the victory is total, it is called Vijay. Otherwise, Jaya can be partial. Victory can also be a little partial. But Vijaya indicates total victory. So similarly, Vishuddha indicates absolute purity, complete purity. So this is the sense in which we should understand Vishuddha, the word. In any case, coming back to Srila Jiva Goswami speaking in Bhagavad Sandarbha, he says that each of these three aspects, when they predominate, then that Vishuddha-sattva is called differently. So Srila Jiva Goswami says that when the Sandhini Shakti is predominant, then the Vishuddha Shakti or Sattva is called Adhara Shakti. That Adhara Shakti is responsible for maintaining the existence of the spiritual world and for enabling the spiritual world to be manifested to the devotees. Similarly, when the Samvit Shakti predominates, it is called Atma Vidya. It is that Shakti by which the devotee is enabled to understand himself. When the Hladini Shakti is prominent or predominant in the Vishuddha-sattva, at that time it is called Guhya Vidya. Guhya means very confidential. Guhya Vidya. This Guhya Vidya is that which reveals the most confidential thing, which is love of Godhead from the spiritual world. And it then enables the devotee to also understand and experience that Guhya Vidya or that love of Godhead, which is non-different from transcendental bliss. So love and happiness are the same thing on that spiritual platform. And then Shiva Goswami says one very interesting thing. He says when all these three are predominant at the same time, that is called Murti. Murti means that transcendental form of the Supreme Lord. So the Supreme Lord's form is the manifestation of the Sandhini Shakti, Samvit Shakti and Hladini Shakti being all predominant at the same time. That is what constitutes the form of Krishna. And that is the meaning of this word, that Krishna's form is Satchidananda, Satchidananda Vigraha. This is the purport as given by Jiva Goswami in the Bhagavad Sandarbha, that all these three internal potencies, Sandhini, Samvit and Hladini, are predominant at the same time. So as we can see, these subjects are not easy to understand, they are inconceivable, and certainly they cannot be understood by mere intellectual effort or by any other form of analysis except for pure devotion. It is only bhakti and the mercy of the Lord that can reveal all these mysteries to us. So we will stop here. We have many of our senior devotees here. I should have taken their permission before starting, but somehow did not. So Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, Devakinandan Prabhu, Rajahari Prabhu are also here. Hare Krishna, Ramrup Prabhu. So I will invite them, I will stop the class here and invite them for any comments. You want to add anything on whatever I have said so far?
Whatever Maharaj said is the best presentation. Very well.
Sorry? What?
Whatever Maharaj said is the best presentation, best way to describe all these three potencies of this Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you.
How they are manifesting in three modes of material nature. Three modes of material nature will not work. They are all coming from these three potencies also, in perfected way.
Thank you for wonderful class, Maharaj. Although title of this chapter is The Confidential Region. So, only as you rightly said, only pure devotee can understand, who are very confidential to Krishna and Guru. We have hard time to understand three modes of material nature. Vairanga Sati, sometimes you get bewildered by ignorance, passion and Satyagun. What to say about Sangit, Samvit and Ahladani. Yes, Jiva Goswami books are very tough to understand. With the Sat Sandarbha, when I was reading Ujjwal Nilmani, I couldn't understand. So I closed the book. But Prabhupada's books are, like taking our hand and teaching how to understand Sripad Jiva Goswami writing. About Samvit, Sangit and Ahladani, I always give the example that the three personality, Krishna, Balaram and Srimati Radharani, they represent these three. Krishna is, Balaram is Samvit. Bit means bring. Just like example of making sweet rice. To make a sweet rice, you get to get rice, you get to have sugar, you got to have fire, and all those things what require. So that arrangement is done by Balaram. And you rightly said, through that energy, Krishna understands who am I and makes other devotees to understand who Krishna is. So that is Sambit. Bit means wealth or thing that we can bring. That's Balaram. And Sangit, unite everything together, make a sweet rice. And that is Sat potency, that is Krishna himself. All right, sweet rice is made. How does it taste? So Krishna tastes that through Srimati Radharani. That is Ahladani Shakti. That is Sambit, Sangit and Ahladani. By the way, wonderfully explained things in short, not but nicely. Thank you once again. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Devakinanda. Braja Hari Prabhu, any? Ramrup Prabhu. Actually, without the reason we don't experience or perceive Krishna is because of the lack of Vishuddha-sattva. So the perfection of Samvid is Hladini. So with the Samvid comes the experience of the Hladini. Yes, Ramrup Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much. Sometimes this V is also used as Vishesha Rupena. When that comes, like
when it is manifest in a very special way, in a very intense way. So sometimes it's Prakrishta Rupena or it may be Vishesha Rupena. So Vishesh Rupena means when that verb, the meaning of that verb is manifested in a very special way. Like Vishuddha means it is Shuddha in an exceptional way, in an absolute way. So therefore Vishuddha is a very intense form of Shuddha. Like that.
so that means Vishuddha-sattva, we can use it as Vishesha Rupena Sattva.
I think so. But if there's any Sanskrit expert, they can modify. Yes, Devakinanda Prabhu.
Yeah, this is the explanation of V. Vigata Sattva iti Vishuddha.
Yes.
Vigata means there is no Sattva. That is called also one meaning. Vigata Sattva. And Vishesha Sattva iti, Vishuddha-sattva. There's two meanings. Sattvam Vishuddham. How is that in Brahma Samhita? In Brahma Samhita, Vishuddha-sattvam. I always forget. You remember? That is Sattva Avalambam Parasattva Vishuddha-sattvam. That is there. So Vishuddha-sattva means Vishesha-sattva. Yes, purely, there is nothing, no change or no speculation, nothing you can do that is not pure. That's Vishuddha-sattva.
I have heard Maharaj, the Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. Sattvagun means not only Sattvagun. Wherever there is less Rajagun, less Tamagun, Sattvagun is more, that is called Sattvagun. Sattvagun is never without Raja and Tama.
Correct.
Same thing with Rajagun also. Rajagun always mixed with Sattva and Tama. Tamagun same thing. Vishuddha-sattva means which is not mixed with Raja or Tama. That is called Vishuddha-sattva. Somewhere I read like that.
Yes.
No mix there. Vishuddha-sattva.
Thank you. So thank you all of you for your comments. Any one or two questions before we end? Yes.
Maharaj, this in purport is mentioned that the Lord and his devotees simultaneously perceive the Hladini potency directly by the power of Samvid potency. The Lord and his devotees simultaneously perceive the Hladini potency directly by the power of Samvid potency. Maharaj, how we understand this? Samvid potency.
Yeah. As I explained just a few seconds ago,
Yes, Maharaj.
that the Hladini is the perfection of Samvid. Samvid is that Shakti which makes Krishna aware of himself and which gives knowledge to others about Krishna. So, when we render devotional service, we have to know who is Krishna. We know, so with that Samvid, that understanding, we are rendering devotional service. And the perfection of that is when we experience the pure love of Godhead, which is the manifestation of the Hladini Shakti. Okay?
To that degree, we are establishing our Sambandh Gyan, taking Sambandh Gyan by reading Shastras, understanding and rendering devotional service. To a degree, we can approach or perceive that.
Correct. Yes. And just one question, then we will stop.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the wonderful lecture. Maharaj, you explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead would have like Sat Chit Ananda, and then you also explained that how this Sat Chit Ananda are in these three Shaktis form, which is actually one only, but because of the functioning they are having these three manifestations. Maharaj, you also mentioned that like how basically Devkinandu also mentioned that how these three Shaktis, like with the example of Krishna, Balram and Radharani. Maharaj, like you also mentioned in the lecture that how that the Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God is there, and then the Ladhani Shakti, the internal, the Chit Shaktis, personification, manifestation is Srimati Radharani, and Krishna is there. But Maharaj, like I haven't read Shradha completely, but what I understand, like if we are saying like that, that Sat Chit Ananda, Krishna, Balram, Radharani, and then the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, when the Radharani and Krishna comes together, and that's is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then Maharaj, can't we say like that it's actually the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in the first, and then obviously it's a time immemorial, but then this Sat Chit Ananda, and then this three aspect of Krishna, Balramji and Radharani. Like as
Your question is so long, I'm not able to follow. What exactly? Just summarize one sentence. What is your question?
Yeah. Sorry, Maharaj. Maharaj, we have Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sat Chit Ananda, and Devkinandu also mentioned that Krishna, Balram and Radharani. And then in the lecture, Maharaj mentioned that how that Sat Chit Ananda, the Radha Krishna again comes back one in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Maharaj, can't we say like that it's the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who was like initially the first, and through when this Ladini Shakti, when it manifests in the personification of Srimati Radharani, then Krishna Radha comes.
So if I understand what you're saying, that not Radha Krishna, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's original. Radha Krishna come from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's what you're asking.
Yes, Maharaj. Just, I don't know much, but just
Good point, which we used to debate about when we became devotees. And you see, both are eternally existing. So when you say who is first, who is second, when you say the time factor doesn't apply in the way that we understand it here. So eternally Radha and Krishna are separate and they are one, simultaneously. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also eternally existing. Radharani and Sri Krishna are also eternally existing. On the spiritual platform, you cannot make distinctions or ask the question, when did it happen? Okay, so all are eternally existing. Okay? So thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.